11. Anunnaki. Creator's mind system, chakra system, and the matrix. 1. These Anunnaki are aliens, spectral were admired. They were admired during a long time in the past, even to this day, by the elite and the Illuminati, for instance. They exist but cannot be seen because they are handling themselves. They are in other inferior dimensions. The Anunnaki created the mental conscious system matrix, for instance, which contains unconscious, subconscious, and conscious, to enslave humans. Lowering the vibration waves of the mind is one of the results of that. The Anunnaki created energy containers known as chakras, as energy food warehouse, function as a feeding apparatus for the Anunnaki. So lower the vibration wave of a mind, and chakras use the thoughts, emotions, desires, and fears. All emits a vibration, a frequency. It's like being a radio turned to a different frequency, and these other radio frequencies are listening, but you can't get there. You cannot listen to another radio frequency unless you change to it. They created chakra systems or energy. The created chakra system are energy containers created to feed the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki are spectral beings in inferior dimensions with long wave frequencies. The Anunnaki built the pyramids and taught the humans their infrared technology. The Anunnaki live all over this planet and has thousands of years ago lived in Babylonia. The Anunnaki has always been doing human sacrifice and drinking human blood. Since the Anunnaki slaved, for instance, through chakra system, mental system, they have made several cultures adopt them as their, so to speak, God. They feed on human fear. The mind, simply because it is enslaved in a mental system matrix Anunnaki. 2. To understand this in the dimensions and frequencies, because if you don't have liberated yourself, you cannot see. Because we occupy only a very small space. Received and issued frequently, so the rest of us can see through their eyes. We show photoreceptors that transform what we see into electrical signals that the brain interprets as a signal. When you think something and feel cold, heat, or pain, your sensors emit electrical signals that pass through your neurons to the brain and thus perceive all heat sensations, cold, or pain. In other words, it's your brain that interprets what you're going to sensation, what will come of it, heat, cold, or pain in this case. Also what you see and listen through your 5 senses. Now, the only human being has a small range of view, the total light. The human vision system to detect light in a spectral range between 350 Newton meters violet to the 750 Newton meters red. For instance, there are a lot of the light spectrum that we see The same applies to the ear. We only hear a small range of sounds, one part. The same goes for the five senses, and the same happens with the vibration of the thought waves and energy. In a space-time are spending thousands of electromagnetic waves through your body. Cellular waves, radio waves, television, waves from space. You cannot see or perceive because you are not on that frequency. But they are there. And if you're aware of them, you can feel them. And when you have awakened your senses, you can see them. Your body has a place in space, and you have to understand that atoms are not solid. When we think of the atom, we must not imagine a static where only electrons move, but we have to associate the quantum behavior. That is the controversy of scientists. If the atoms are not solid, how is it that when you knock on a door, it sounds solid? Key is the mind and energies, but the frequency of vibration waves of the mind and energies the Anunnaki manipulate. 3. When British archaeologists discovered scientists Babylon under meters and meters of mud by the universal flood, they thought to themselves, as they must have caught now might be spicy like aliens from heaven. They thought practices and scientists inferior dimensions. Actually, there were. Since the temples and other orders of the band discovered under this temple began to practice these occult arts again and again, started worshipping these beings infra-dimensional. The Illuminati Lucifer paid homage to the great master, the Demiurgi Anunnaki, and his fallen beings continuing blood rituals and satanic practices with hypnotism, mental manipulation. Above all the processions, spiritualists such they did in Egyptian. The amazing thing is that they are visited by these beings, even say that they see their master inferior dimensional, the Demiurgi Anunnaki, which find it very beautiful. I have obtained information from people who have left the Luciferian Illuminati, and they have actually claimed that these embodied spirits worship and this great Demiurgi Anunnaki, the spectral, that we say Capital Mortum. They give offerings in return for material wealth. And we are not talking about giving away a basket of sweets. The world today is ruled from the inferior by these Anunnaki. A representation is the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye from the inferior. Every government in the world and the elite work for the Anunnaki to establish a world government and maintain full control of all of us. What they didn't consider is that all human beings, each one of you, of us, so to speaking, has its own power for his own liberation. What these Anunnaki were planning, that it would ultimately triumph for them and make the human beings slaves, completely slaves and forever slaves. And they wanted to force Armageddon for all people to submit to their new regime. They promote fear and terror as it generates a lot of negative energy fields to feed Anunnaki. That's why you never see peace in this three-dimensional world, which is Anunnaki made, synthetic. This is not the real world. It's like entering a brain and whispering, please, it's your time to wake up. For you. For love. For you sake. So, continues. Let us continue. That's why every time we take more individual freedoms, that's why they are poisoning the food, put fluoride in the water and in the toothpaste. And we're bombarded with infernal long electromagnetic waves. Long are the negative ones that are making you illnesses, etc., etc., making thinking and feeling negative. As I said, that's another lesson. This is not a lesson, this is information channel, you're saying, to make it all clear. Altogether, to every human being to forget who they really are, and which is, now you remember, I hope, a multi-dimensional real self, con poderes, with powers, who has internal life in freedom, in the first source, en la primera fuente. We all have within us a special power, our soul of our being, our real self. They know that, the Anunnaki. Now more than ever. And all human beings, the real selves, has a very, very big eternal family, which is not physical, which is eternal. Voluntarily choose, but awareness of the matrix really betraying our being. We voluntarily mental matrix system with its unfined mind field, with its nirvanas and Anunnaki gods, false gods, plastic gods, matrix container gods. You can name them 1,000 different names. It's all the same. Well, I don't want to name it like that. It's same bullshit. Actually, it's not real. It's not real for you. You inside of you is the real God, and you are, and you will always be part of the first source, la primera fuente. You have eternal life. You have the power to liberate yourself. And why you have it to do it yourself? Because doing it yourself make you strong. To liberate yourself, to wake up yourself, to enter and see and reflect in what is happening around me. Is this for real? Or is this another joke? You yourself will have to be aware of that. You will have to understand that even now when I'm talking to you in English, which is not any physical mother tongue or something like that, is to making this come into English as well, because there's another thing of separation, languages. Let's continue with the second part here. They want you not to be aware of your real self, not aware of that exist this esclavization containing matrix Anunnaki. Anunnaki created mental consciousness system matrix that you believed you were the consciousness matrix. Made you go to sleep and maintain a sleep. The Anunnaki created a chakra system made to Anunnaki as you believe you were the energy of the chakra, the Anunnaki food. Like a restaurant for the Anunnaki, to feed themselves with whatever kind of food they wanted. Are still doing. While you are still believing in this matrix esclavization systems, they are still getting the food from you. You're feeding these bitches. You're feeding these monsters. These parasites, so to speaking. You must make a real being, dimensional, get stronger inside you, not an Anunnaki matrix system. You have to free yourself from the matrix, the mental system, chakra system, in the mind, in the heart, in the solar plexus, and the sex. By mastering these points can liberate yourself, and you will remind who you really are. You remember your real self, real being, real ser. You understand. And volver a la primera fuente, and return to the first source, which is high up, is nothing down here, is up in freedom. It's not a physical shell. It's much greater. It is unique and it's only for you. Oh, only for you. This is nothing to do with these creatures. The elite knows all this that I have been trying to tell you here. So that's why you are bombarded every day. All of us actually, since we are in dimension 3. All kinds of things. To forgetting yourself. You get out of your path to remember who you really are. And every time it happens, you will have to reflect, why does it happen? Because they don't want me to remember who I am. Then you will have persist. I will remember who I am. Because I love myself. I love my real self. My real internal God. No external matrix Anunnaki thing. But the real you. And no one will take your powers away. No one will eat from you. This is in the next video number 12. We extend the principal chakra system, the mental system. Thank you. This is September 2013 and the second year of the new spiral time.